Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Transmissions with the Golden Hive. And today I am super duper excited and honored to connect with and to have and share space with Jane DeForest here with us from Hive Mind. And I am so super excited just to talk about all the things, connections with the bees and all of the wonderful, amazing gifts and lived wisdom and experience that
Mm.
Jane has. So, Jane, welcome. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Sabrina, thank you so much for inviting me. It's such an honor to be here, and I feel so deeply enriched having you in my friend circle. So thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. I am so blessed. Oh my goodness. The way that we met was so synchronistic and aligned and so
Mhm.
beautiful too.
Yeah,
And it's been a little while since we were able to connect, and it was all divinely aligned, perfectly timed.
great.
And the connection that we both share with the bees and the
Mhm.
remembrance of that is so beautiful. And I'm just super excited to explore that together.
Definitely.
So would you be willing to please share with all of us some of your gifts? I mean, you have so many wonderful, amazing accomplishments. I've gotten to experience a little bit and read a little bit, but yeah, if you'd love to share your
Yeah.
connection with the bees and just all the things. Let's.
Well, first I want to show you my sort of logo. Can you see that?
Yes, it's so
Yeah, so
beautiful.
that's sort of my, hold on a second. That's sort of my logo, or I might say the image that I use as my alias drawing. I drew that in a series of conversations that I've had with the bees. So I'll start out first. Oh, I guess I could tell you a little about myself first.
Yes,
I just
please.
love the bee stories. So I was a professional artist for many years, and I my primary medium was paint. And I would do paintings in grand homes, which were the ones that could afford to have me paint their powder room to look like a Japanese print with bamboo, or a scene of the midnight sky with the Milky Way galaxy and galaxies and constellations with all airbrush or things like that. And
Beautiful.
yeah, and I loved creating a space where people could be inside of a painting. I loved creating sacred space. And actually, I would, understanding the power of intention, I would have the client write their intentions in chalk underneath the paint. I would,
Ooh,
yeah.
cool.
Uh-huh. So I've always had a fascination and interest in those things psychic, the mysteries, the great mysteries. And I wouldn't say that I had a talent, although, and I tend to say I don't have any special talent, but I have to say, as I'm getting older, I do think I'm predisposed to being psychic or intuitive because of my disabilities. I'm severely dyslexic. And so I think I see and perceive things in a nonlinear way. So I have to say that.
Okay,
Um,
cool.
and and I also think that because I was raised in a non-religious, sort of devout atheist, intellectual environment, I didn't have any prejudice against knowing such things.
Mm,
So
yeah,
I
that
will say
helps.
that. I will say that I do think I do have an ability, although I like to really emphasize that everyone has an intuitive ability, and it is a matter of applying it or believing in it or not being affected by the rejection that comes along with knowing things you shouldn't know or being able to perceive things at a distance or get a hunch about the future and that sort of thing. Knowing the truth is terrifying to people, or
Yeah,
can be, especially people who are hiding the truth.
yeah, yeah.
When I was painting murals in these grand homes, I was alone often with the woman, the mother, the grand dame of the grand home. And I would share my insights because I would get impressions from the home and the people. And one stands out was a woman who was married to a successful physician, had one daughter, and was, in her word, forced to have an abortion of the second child. And by the way, I don't have any agenda about abortion or not having abortions. I will say
Sure.
that I do see it from another perspective because I'm communicating with the spirit that comes into the fetus. So my perspective perhaps is a little different than the norm, pro or con. But I was able to connect with this woman in a very deep and powerful way. I was able to communicate with the spirit that of the baby or the fetus that wasn't allowed to be born. And we did a ceremony. We took a candle and we made a boat out of a giant leaf and we set it down the
Oh,
Willamette River. And I said a prayer for the child. And that was just an example of how I started merging the ability that I had as a intuitive and my ability that of being in people's homes as an artist. So in that journey, I started studying, and the Ingo Swan would be my primary teacher, although I never met him in person. I've read almost everything that he's written. He's the grandfather of remote viewing.
oh, okay.
And remote viewing is a military protocol that the government used. It's becoming more and more popular, and the information is becoming more accessible with the Freedom of Information Act. And movies like Men Who Talk with Goats, I think is the name of it,
Oh,
and how telepathy and remote viewing has been used and weaponized by governments to be able to perceive military installations or missile silos or what's happening with the Russians during the Cold War, especially. So I used these techniques, came very naturally to me, the remote viewing techniques. They incorporated drawing. I'm an artist. I was able to make it my own. I have my own type of remote viewing called intuitive spiritual remote viewing. I don't know what else to
nice.
call it. I just call it
Yeah, love
something
it.
because I see that there's an intuitive aspect to this and also a spiritual aspect. I don't see that this is just a skill that we have as far as knowing ESP or being able to perceive events halfway around the world. This technique can also be used to access information from the past, for example, who built the pyramids, or in the future, what is the trajectory of the human race? Should we continue with our behavior? That kind of thing. So I was able to train, and I studied with several people. I'm also an astrologer, but that's a little bit different. But as far as the intuitive work, I want to say I took it very seriously and trained. So not to discourage, I want to encourage people that just because you may not wake up and you can perceive events halfway around the world, don't get discouraged because it does take some training in the same way playing the piano takes some training. And I
That's
want to
true.
say, everyone, in my opinion, has this ability. It's an innate sensing ability that humans have. I don't think it's something that's particular to just a few people who are
Right,
talented or have had some trauma that has caused, like a near death experience, that has caused this ability to develop. I have
right.
also had a near death experience
Yeah.
later in life. So my brain was tested by a neuroscientist. And actually, he uses my brain under a pseudonym in his lectures and international lectures and presentations because
Oh,
of
cool.
how unusual my brain is. Now,
Oh,
I don't think that my brain was unusual before this work. I think, well, I've always been a little odd.
beautifully odd.
Guilty as charged. But but I will say that I believe that by using this ability on a regular basis, because it's what I do for a living, it is my professional life, in addition to astrology, that I believe that my brain has developed to what might be called maybe the next gen of where we're heading. And why is my brain interesting? Well, I'm an old woman. I'm 63 right now.
63
Um,
years young.
Yo, baby. But I also love being a crone. I have to say, I
Yeah,
really love owning my age and my wisdom and my wrinkles
beautiful.
and so I mean to just tell you that because that's truly the age of my physical body. Although I think how we carry ourselves and the attitude in our mind and the beauty in our heart, of course, affects our physical body. So
100%.
why is my brain unusual? He says it's for several reasons. One, the brain, there are brain waves that we recognize, and I want to say I'm sure there's other brain waves that we don't even know about yet.
Oh, yeah.
Alpha, beta, delta, theta, and gamma. And when he did my exams, my testing, they call it brain mapping, he saw very high levels of gamma. Now, very high levels are microscopic because they're not typically detected in a
Mhm.
brain map. Also, my brain had the power of a 20-year-old. Now, this is shocking in my opinion, is that our brain is strongest when it's around 19, 20, 21, 22.
Oh,
I don't,
wow.
I think it's the decibel or the measurement of the frequency of the brain, not necessarily the intellect. It's something about the power. So I had my brain was at the level of a teenager at its peak, and I think this was in my late 50s when this was done. In addition, it was high gamma, and he looked at me and said, "What do you do?" Anyway, so
You're
I
like,
just
I connect with the bees. It's the hive mind
Here's
energy.
the well, it's interesting you say that.
That's what
So
I'm feeling. I'm getting angel bumps all over, and it's like hive mind, and I'm like, oh.
yeah, totally. That's yeah, so I'll bring it home. I just want to say that because there is a scientific element about this. And over the with this process of remote viewing, my natural intuition, my spiritual life, I'm committed to a spiritual life to be in service to the divine. Before I ever do work, I do my prayer work, ask that I be a vehicle through which I can help people. That's my goal.
Beautiful.
Um, and so over the years, I've done different, I'm sort of a pan psychic, so I'm a pan intuitive. I do mediumship. Mediumship is communicating with spirits on the other side who've passed. People don't die, they just transform. I've personally died, and I both have personal testimony that life exists after this physical dimension, as well as professional speaking to people that are dead on the other side with very specific bits of information there's no way I could consistently get.
Yeah,
And I'm an animal communicator, so I am able to communicate with pets. I've done pro bono
beautiful.
work with the bees, which I'm going to talk about right now, as well
Okay.
as a large cat sanctuary. So I worked with tigers and
Wow.
lions and a black leopard
Ooh.
and mountain lions. And I can tell you it's chilling to my, because you have to merge consciousness to be able to detect
Wow.
information. It's a conversation, and it is very chilling to
Yeah.
mentally connect with something that wants to gobble you up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you're like, because I've connected with, obviously with in physical with cats and like
Mhm.
house cats, obviously, but consciously, with the Lyrans, So it's
Yes.
interesting. How does that like did that come into play? Like, did you feel like that was a different or similar connection because it's like the Lyran
Lyrics.
family?
So
Yeah.
I don't know if I connected with them per se, but I have connected with a greater cat being. So perhaps a representation of that would be Sekhmet, the Egyptian
Yes.
goddess who has the head of a lioness and the
Yes.
body of a female, typically.
Yes. I have her
Um,
on my desk next to me right now.
oh yeah, Sekhmet, she's awesome. And she wears the dark moon,
Yeah.
the moon on her head. So I certainly have communicated with some kind of cat human being that I believe is some kind of oversoul
Yeah.
or guide. There's different stages. Similarly with a canine goddess.
Ooh,
They seem
yeah.
to be goddesses, by the way.
Right.
I don't know if they exist in physical form or energetic form on another planet. I
Mm,
don't know that. I'm very
right.
clear about what I don't know.
Yeah.
And
Right.
there's more I don't know than I know.
Right.
So that's sort of my general background. I'm also the author of a book, Love Never Dies, which is right here,
Yay.
which is stories. Each chapter is a different story, some animal communication, some spirit communication. So,
Beautiful.
how I came about communicating with the bees was sort of by accident. I'd returned from taking a younger family member to Egypt in 2017 and was fresh from a powerful awakening to Egypt, going through the temples. It really does change you. I do
Oh,
want
I
to say,
bet. I want to go
not,
there someday.
there's other sacred places that
I'm
are
sure.
powerful, but we did meditation in the King's Chamber of the Great Pyramid. We were doing so I came back in a very high state. And a friend of mine, Susan Chernak, who is well known, has written several books about bees, and a dear, brilliant woman. And I was visiting her, and she said, "Listen, I'm having problems with my hives. I've lost several of them, and I'm deeply concerned." So she said, "Can you talk to them and find out why they're dying?" And for those of you who aren't aware, colony collapse is a thing. A lot of beekeepers are losing bee colonies. So I said, "I can't talk to bees." She said, "Well, you're an animal communicator." I was like, "Oh yeah, okay." I knew that.
Sex,
So
animals, it's all.
okay, sure, what the heck? So I thought, all right, I'm going to approach this from the standpoint of talking to a cat or a dog, and I was an experiment, frankly. So I would go to her backyard where she must have had a dozen hives. I mean, it was quite a place.
Wow.
And I would sit down, I bring a big pad of paper, and I draw, which is a primary fundamental technique of accessing information, which is what we call remote viewing. Excuse me.
Nice. Oh, no worries.
All right. So I sat down in and to approach this from a very human-centric, definitely arrogant perspective, because being a American human, I wanted to talk to the boss. I wanted to talk to the queen. So what's going on? As if she were the representative of the hive. And it was humbling. The queen said, this was profound for me. It made me see life in a different way, actually.
Oh, I bet.
She said, now I want to say she communicated. So bees obviously don't talk in English
Right.
or
Wouldn't
complete
that be something?
or complete sentences. These are very, they're communicating
Yeah.
through ideas,
Yeah.
through impulses, through images. Most
Yeah.
animals, from my experience,
Yeah.
and I'm speaking from my experience,
Right.
communicate in images.
Yeah.
And the
Okay.
images aren't just pictures, they're images with information and feelings attached to them, sometimes
Beautiful.
a narrative. So what the queen communicated to me, what I received from her, was that the hive is a collective,
Mhm.
and that's about that time is when I started my a little company I have called Hive Mind,
Yes.
because I felt how profound it was for this whole collective, this whole hive of bees. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. For the queen and then all the bees to be one. Interestingly enough, bees have the temperature of a human body, 98.6.
Yeah.
So there is sort of this progressive idea that, in fact, they're not insects. They're actually a mammal. I know they lay eggs. Some mammals lay eggs. But so the queen, so when I had The queen talked to me about creation first.
Oh, wow.
I had, as I mentioned previously, returned from Egypt, and we'd had a private meditation in the Great Pyramid after it closed and the public left. And we
Oh,
took
wow.
turns meditating in the granite box in the king's chamber. The king's chamber is the highest chamber
Okay.
in the pyramid, and it has what is called a sarcophagus, but no mummy has ever been found in the Great Pyramid or in any of these big pyramids. So there is a understanding that perhaps this granite box was used for some type of initiation. Anyway, we laid
Mm,
in the box, and the information that I received from this meditation in the Great Pyramid was a channel of green light that came down that spoke to me about the nature of creation.
mm,
When I spoke to the queen slash hive, she was explaining to me about this channel of green light of creation, which was really stunning. So she showed me about how she dissolved into the green light of creation. So somehow I think that the bees carry a signature of perhaps a more sophisticated aspect of creation. What does that mean? If we think about that consciousness is the foundation from which matter, which is
mm,
a cutting edge idea in quantum physics and an ancient idea that comes from the ancient world. It wasn't an it was lost in the dark ages, and then with the age of enlightenment and
mm,
materialism, uh, the world became a mechanistic structure from which consciousness grew. Now, this new idea coming in is that consciousness is the underpinning of matter. I'm
mm.
just reporting. I have no
Yeah.
agenda to convince you. But this is what I believe the bees were talking about. I also, what she expressed to me is the sound the bees made have something to do with the sound of creation. If you think of the bees, zzz, 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 perhaps you could think of the name of the great goddess of creation, Isis, is.
Mm,
And so what I gleaned from this conversation is really what it was, is that somehow that sound, the word in the Bible, the word, first there was the word, then
yeah.
there was creation. So perhaps it is the sound the bees are telling us that
Mm,
is part of creation. The bees also talked about how they were connected to different aspects of nature that were conscious. For example, flowers. Flowers had consciousness. They were also quite aware of the moon and the stars, which I wouldn't have guessed. Certainly the
mm,
sun, that seems obvious to me. Bees
mhm.
are, get going when the sun comes up. Yeah, they're a little slow to get going, and then they buzz around, and then as night descends, the bees go in their hive and they aren't buzzing around out there. So obviously the sun affects them, but the sun,
Yeah.
I didn't anticipate. They told me that the sun has information. Now, some people talk about codes. They may be talking about codes
Yeah. Solar
that.
codes.
Mhm. Now, the ancient Egyptians understood that the sun, the god of the sun, which they called Re, which is interesting because we have a Ra, but the
Yeah.
sun has rays, so we're
Oh,
still saying the pretty much the same thing, and
yeah.
that from that came knowledge and consciousness. So the bees basically said that, and that there was consciousness and information from all living things. They talked about everything being interconnected, as if
Right.
you're in a soup.
Right. I could
Um,
call it the psychic soup.
yeah, like that. So yeah, but as that was. there's more to the conversation, but please interrupt with any questions if you have them.
Wow. Well, first of all, you're doing a beautiful job of sharing and answering questions already that I was intending to inquire about. So that's so beautiful. And I can so relate with everything that you're sharing. And I love that the when you communicate with the bees, it seems like the primary way that that comes through for you is visually, and that, through your art and creativity that you are able to bring those messages through in that way. And that's really, really beautiful. And it's cool to hear that because for me, it comes through more audibly. I hear the word, the sound. And
Mhm.
then that comes through as creation in that way. And then from the word, what I'm discovering through sharing the word and the consciousness from the bees is that then so much more can be created from that itself, right? Because the word, then anything and everything can then be created from the word.
Mhm.
Right? The pictures, the tastes, the colors, all the things, right? And you're right, it is. It's truly all interconnected, and each part and aspect is like a different expression of the creator, right? And so I just love that the consciousness of the bees and the bees seem to like come through and be relatable to almost everything in creation. It's just been such a miracle to be able to witness how that is unfolding because for me, truly, I had no idea either, right? It's like, and as we come into awareness of these things and as we show our interest in cooperation and co-creation with the essence and the consciousness of the bees, right? Then
Mhm.
it's like, oh, you want to play? Right? Let's play. And it is, I feel like, they do have this very serious side and the soul and the spirit and the essence of them. And there's also this very playful, side to them. And I think that's such a beautiful balance, right? That they get to inspire us to also mirror and reflect and be inspired by that. I love that. I also love that you were bringing through like the color, the green column. I instantly was hearing like that's the connection to the heart, right? The heart. And that's interesting because we call this podcast the transmissions from the heart of the hive, right? So it's like
Right.
it's so beautiful, So, and I love that you shared like how, because I was wondering how you came up with that business name, because that's really how I connected with you in the bees. I came into that metaphysical store and you were there with your crystals, and I saw your sticker and it said Hive Mind, and I was like, I have to meet this woman. And so I came over and introduced myself, and I'm so glad that I did
I'm so
because,
glad you did too.
yeah, and the bees, they've connected us. I mean, look at this. And, oh,
Certainly.
yeah. And I'm wondering, like, I would love to explore. I was going to get into this a little bit later, but it's coming up now, so I'm going to go ahead and share it now.
Sure.
Is like kind of like Michael Jackson right now is making a comeback, right? His essence is like full on in the world and in a beautiful way, right? To support humanity's ascension, I feel like. And his messaging, right, is so powerful and it's to inspire and uplift humanity. And I feel like the bees are doing the same thing right now. It's like they've always been around, right? Forever. Like,
Right.
but now all of a sudden, I feel like, and part of it obviously is because I have this deep connection. And so when you have a deep connection with something, you see it, all the time, everywhere, right? But it feels like it's not just me anymore, right? It feels like everywhere I go, I'm seeing the bees, right? And people connecting with the bees in their own way and just messaging from the bees. And I just noticed that. And I wondered if you had noticed that too
Mhm.
from all of your years of experience and watching and
Yeah,
paying
I
attention.
think I think the bees are somehow at a yeah, I think they're at a high level. I think mushrooms are too, actually. I know that's a
Ooh,
funny thing to say, but I think that the mushrooms have some kind of intelligence. I don't mean
yeah,
necessarily psychedelic mushrooms, but
sure.
I mean, mushrooms, I think are the spore can live a million years.
Oh, wow. Well, it's
Um,
interesting that you say that because now I'm hearing too the reminder of the trees because the bees always talk about the trees and the trees are all connected with the mushrooms,
the
right? So the
mycelium,
whole,
yeah,
yeah, and the whole underground network of communication,
right,
right? And then the bees are connected with also that network of communication between the moon, the sun, the stars, all the other beings on top of the ground, right?
right.
Above the dirt.
Yes, I
And
agree.
and so it's
Mhm.
like the above and the below.
Perhaps I hadn't thought of it that way. That's a nice way to put it.
Yeah, me either until now. So I love that this is coming through from our
Mhm.
conversation.
Yes, I love it.
There is so much more to explore there. And the sound of creation being is, and then the frequency. I never thought of that either in Isis. And,
Yes.
obviously, like I've connected deeply with Sekhmet Bastet and also with Hathor
Uh,
personally. And so I think and what Hathor is always bringing through is a reminder too of combining all of the things, right? The colors with the sounds, with like all the different modalities, the
well,
breath and all of it.
yeah, Hathor is interesting. I guess I see her a little differently, but just because, I mean, we all can see things, there's no right way to
Yeah.
see it, but
Yeah.
interesting, in my opinion, because she's another aspect of creation. She has the head of a cow.
Right.
Uh-huh. And her ears on the side, if you can find a bas-relief or a statue from ancient Egypt that hasn't been destroyed, because the a lot of the early Christians and the Crusaders destroyed
Oh,
so much of the Egyptian
artifacts.
artifacts because of religious reasons. But you can see there's little eggs in her ears.
Oh,
And the Hathor's head and the ears with the eggs coming out of them emulate the womb, because the woman's womb, fallopian tubes, look like the head of a cow. And the gestation period of humans and cows is almost identical. So, related to the cycles of creation and the moon, the cow jumping over the moon is a artifact, an ancient artifact that hidden in plain sight in a child's story or rhyme
right.
of the connection of creation and the cycles of the ovaries and the eggs and the womb of creation. And yeah, Hathor is a representation of this principle. And I mean,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
that's not my opinion, but that's the information that I know about it.
Wow, I
Then,
love that.
yeah, so before I died, about a year and a half ago, or maybe it was 2 years now,
Oh,
I was making in these trays, I was doing mosaics with beautiful colors and abstract and little flower patterns, and I was sort of just creating beautiful things.
right.
And I died for 3 minutes ish when we were out of the country, and I really shouldn't have died, but I had a variety of things that were wrong with me. And we were out to dinner, and my husband and our friend look over, and apparently I'm falling. I start slowly falling off the chair.
Oh, wow.
So my eyes were affixed and not responding, and I didn't have a pulse. I We didn't have a doctor to confirm that I died, but I say that if the eyes roll back, that means you've blacked out. If they're unresponsive and staring, supposedly that you're meeting your maker, which is
Oh, wow.
exactly but what was happening to me was I could feel myself getting further and further away from myself, from my body, but I was still myself. And I went to somewhere, and I was traveling through something that felt like it was a substance. I don't know if it was sound, or if
I'm
it wasn't water, but it was
I'm
through
hearing
something.
plasma. I'm hearing plasma.
Yeah, could be, and it had different frequencies. And I
Oh,
arrived at a place where it was beautiful. I didn't have a life review. but there were people that had passed that were my beloved people, friends and family. And I was so happy to see them. I was blanketed with, like I say, like a rose quartz blanket of unconditional love.
Oh, I
You
bought the rose quartz
know,
heart.
yeah, that's interesting. And it was the kind of love that you feel on earth from time to time. It was just without limits, without judgment, acceptance. And when I met my
Beautiful.
people, there was a conversation. But when it was time for me to leave, I was not able to bring it back. I was only able to bring a tiny, tiny shard, a fragment, and which I repeated over and over in my mind till I re-entered my physical body. And that fragment, by the way, was live your life.
Oh, wow.
So I like to
Oh,
share that
wow.
because I think it's to share. It's not just for my own personal consumption.
And I'm also hearing love your life.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's so
Love your life.
beautiful.
Yeah. And love and live are certainly
Yes.
within the same basket. So I came back and I recovered. There's more to the story, but the point I want to make is I returned to my studio to make these creations, but I wasn't interested in abstract design or pretty flowers. I wanted, all I wanted to do was make this symbol over and over again. And I found out this symbol's about creation. It's two
Oh,
circles that overlap each other like a Venn diagram. In the middle, they make a shape that looks like this. It's called a
yeah.
vesica
Vesica
Pisces,
Pisces. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so it's a symbolism of creation. I think it's creation. And then I would put an obelisk in the middle of the Vesica Pisces, the Vesica Pisces being symbolic of the divine feminine, and the obelisk, the divine masculine. And
Aha, ha, ha, ha.
and I could feel the physical response. So I think
Wow.
what we were talking about in the place between lives was about creation. And I guess that's what I would want to communicate to your beautiful group is
Oh,
that I think that the bees, I think that our this higher knowledge that I received from a different dimension was about creation. I'm going to be visiting someone dear to me in Washington, D.C., and I was looking at the maps of where the museums are because I'm going to go check those out.
nice.
And I just came upon in the map the graphic of the National Monument and in the Great Mall area.
Okay.
And it's exactly that. It's two circles,
Oh,
Vesica Pisces in the middle, and the giant obelisk in Washington, D.C. So I just say that
oh,
is I believe this is occulted knowledge, or occulted means hidden. It doesn't mean
right.
work of the devil or evil. Occulted means hidden, like
Mm.
in a like a moon is occulted during a lunar eclipse, for example.
Yeah.
So I believe this ancient knowledge, power, this is power, which is taught in an occulted way in mystery schools. The
Right.
ancients had mystery schools. The symbol of the bee was connected with it. The bee was a powerful goddess aspect. I think that it ties back to creation.
Yeah.
So I know these are big ideas, and they're, just a little bee that's pollinating the apple blossoms.
Oh
So,
no, there's so much more.
but I do believe there's a message, and the greater message, in my opinion, and from my experience with it, is that there's a mystery to creation, that we are part of this creation being created. We're part of a collective of creation. It's and that we are interconnected, that we are one, that we are the process of creation creating itself. Now, I think it's hard. I think it's to understand that we are all one. And I think it can be confusing. I think it can be trite, you know, like if you're cool, you can understand that we're all one and separation is bad. But I do think if we entertain the idea, or at least hold space for the idea that perhaps that we are all part of some greater movement of, I like creation, creating itself, then we can rest in the process of this creation and not fight it. So, yeah,
Yeah.
I thank you for the opportunity to share these ideas. I really appreciate it, Sabrina.
Oh my goodness. Thank you for sharing all of this because sometimes I feel like not alone in this, but like, not everybody connects with the bees in the way, in a deeper way, or not a deeper way, but like, in this way, I should say, And so it's really interesting and profound the messages that come through. And for me, when the messages started coming through and they were coming through in poetry, and I wasn't a poet, and I'm like, I don't understand. And at first I was like, oh, this is really pretty and it sounds cool. And okay, I'll start sharing poetry. But it, the words in the messages were so deep. It was like they're teaching me. And I was like, okay, this is not just for me, because the bees, it was like, we're going to keep sending you these messages because they're not just for you, they're for everyone, is what they kept telling me. And I was like, okay, and the nervous me was like, I don't know how to share this with the world, right? Because first of all, I wasn't a poet, and I'm like, and then I'm bringing through messages from the bee consciousness, like what? But truly, it is all stuff that we can all relate to. And it is all for such a loving, beautiful intention to uplift and connect humanity and the energies and the essence of love. And like you said, creation itself. And it's like this full circle interconnected network of consciousness of that creator, and it is so profound and beautiful. And yeah, I'm grateful and honored to bring through these messages myself. I am grateful and honored to connect with other beings such as yourself, to be able to share our stories and our experiences, and to be of service in this way, right? And I really do feel like when we are all connected and sharing in this way, we're able to keep that energy alive and thriving.
Right.
And the hive and the heart of the hive, right? Because like even when you were talking about Hawthorne and the statue and how there's the eggs in the ears, and I was like, whoa, bee eggs. It's like, maybe there's like bee eggs in there. And then just, I don't know, just it just is all the way it's all connected. It's just so beautiful. So thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if we contemplate the that creation is being created through all of us, and that we are
Hmm.
part of this aspect of creation creating itself,
Right.
then we have to contemplate the heretic, heretical idea that we are part of creation
Yeah.
and that perhaps we are part of the creator.
Yeah.
So that would be the crime in ancient times, or at least in the dark ages of heresy,
Right.
with a payment of being burned at the stake.
Yeah. Too
So
powerful. The power. Yeah.
that we
Right.
ourselves are part within us as the
Yeah.
seed of creation, or that we are part of the creator, or that we are the creator in an aspect.
Right.
And I think that this is in part what the bees are saying.
Yeah. And with great power is great responsibility, right? And so they're inviting us to take ownership of how we choose to create and what we
Right.
choose to create in
Exactly.
this world, right?
Right.
And to express. And so when we're sharing beautiful artistic creations from the heart, right? Using our intention of joy and love and happiness and connection and remembrance and all
Mhm.
of these beautiful and I don't judge high or low frequency anything. It's all frequency and energy, right? But like, you know how it feels when you're feeling low frequency versus when you're feeling high frequency, right? It's like
Mhm.
one does tend to feel better than the other.
Oh, certainly.
And
Certainly.
it's certainly important that we experience all of it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I can certainly feel comfortable making a judgment. I'm not
Yeah,
afraid of being judgmental in the fact that I can say unconditional love is a higher frequency
yeah.
than hatred and
All
resent
right.
that. I mean, I think that's pretty obvious. And the
Yeah.
bees aren't all kumbaya. I mean,
Right.
they can sting you and get enough bees stinging you and they can kill you.
That's exactly
So,
right. That almost happened to me.
mhm.
That's exactly what my story is. I was stung twice on the same finger within a week, and my whole body swelled up. I got hives all over, and they told me you're deathly allergic. And I have not been stung since.
Mhm.
However, I also now have a whole nother connection and story with the bees than I had any idea of then. And I feel like that medicine was given to me as a gift for so many reasons, but one of which was I feel that it really did heal my fever seizures that I was having at the time.
Yes,
Yeah,
and bees, I agree. Bees
yeah,
are medicine, and that our
yeah.
wounds, in a way, are the doorway through which we can access our
Yes,
greatest gifts, not just our healing, but
that's right.
yeah.
Oh, that would be another beautiful conversation talking about,
Yeah.
right? Because I know we can also access a lot through things that we tend to resist, right? That we maybe need the
Right,
most, that we
right.
think, you know,
Of
it's
course.
like, and really going in and asking ourselves these questions, right? About
Mhm.
ourselves
And,
and
and
it's,
reframing them. How
yeah,
can how can the bee sting that almost killed you be the doorway through which you can not only achieve your own physical healing,
yeah.
but access the wisdom of the energy of this amazing. It's not, I really don't think it's an insect. I mean, why
Right, I know.
an insect that has a 98.6 hive
Yeah,
temperature? I mean,
yeah,
that's very curious.
yeah.
Every bit of the bee is
Yeah.
medicine. We've got,
Well, and the hive is a womb. The bees have shown me how the hive is a womb. I mean, I have downloads about that, like a whole nother thing. Like, and I didn't realize that or recognize that until they shared that with me. And so, when you're talking about that too, and the temperature and the human, and they're laying the eggs and the babies are hatching inside the womb.
that's right. I mean,
So,
there is a progressive, these are progressive ideas, mostly
yeah,
coming out of Germany
yeah.
for the last several decades, that
Mhm.
the bees could may not be insects, they may be
Wow.
mammals, and that the bees are a collective. They're a bee.
Definitely. Yeah,
Mhm.
they always tell me that too, a collective. And then they use the word emissaries, and it's so
Mhm.
funny too, the words they use and the way that they speak and communicate and telepathic. Like I've never had a connection telepathically with any other animals necessarily that I was aware of before. You know what I mean? But then
Right.
once this opened up, then I too recognized that, oh my goodness. And then I had an experience with a horse, and then I had an experience with my dog, and so it does. It begins to open up as we say yes and we step into that willingly with our loving intention, like we talked about.
Right,
Yeah.
and it is illogical. It's
Yeah.
illogical that we would be able to speak to a bee. It's illogical that we should be able to speak to a dog or a
Right.
cat.
Right.
But the truth is, the greatest things in life are illogical.
Yeah.
Love,
Yeah.
connection,
Yeah.
becoming one with your partner, or with, feeling the connection of community, a spiritual awakening. These things are
Yeah.
illogical.
Right.
And
But it's feeling and it's felt and it's energy and it's real.
it's part of the mystery that we
Yeah.
don't understand. It's like a dog trying to understand algebra. So I
Right.
always say be careful of people that tell you like it is and try to explain
Yes.
this mystery, because it really is. But there
That's
are
right.
spiritual traditions, and I think that, oh, I mean, the bee is connected. When I was in Rome, you'd see bas-reliefs of bees over doorways that were the sacred symbol of the secret symbol of the goddess. So,
Nice.
but there are traditions that point to the way, like spiritual traditions or the esoteric aspects of religions and spiritual traditions, not the fundamental aspects, that point us to a deeper understanding of the mystery and why we're here and what's the purpose.
Right.
And I say, get about it, because wasting time, we only have so much time, and we got to get about it, get in alignment with our true nature, with our true selves. Why are we here,
Yeah.
and what do we have to do?
Yeah.
And I don't think it's
Yeah.
um,
Sacred urgency.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, or at least get on the path up the
Yeah.
mountain. And I don't think it's to accumulate monetary bags of gold, although we
Right.
do have to survive, and poverty isn't all, isn't fabulous either.
Right.
But we are here for a reason. And I
Yeah.
would say my primary message is wake up.
Yeah. That's beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember, and I'm hearing remember, right? It's like remember.
Remember
Yeah. It's the same
is
thing as
but
saying remember. Yeah.
it's another way of saying
Yeah.
the same thing, just in a different way. Absolutely.
Yeah. And what I'm hearing now too is to bring through a beautiful reminder because this is something that I personally experienced is to not doubt what you're really truly hearing, feeling, sensing, experiencing. And because as woo-woo as it may seem, or as strange as it may seem, or even if you share something with someone else and they say, whoa, that can't be real, you know, yeah, like you said, don't listen to that. Like go with your truth and don't
Mhm.
be afraid to share your truth because there really truth is all relative, right? It's just experience. It's all personal in my humble opinion. So and the experience. So that's what I wanted to share. But
But
thank you so much.
sharing your truth can get you alienated. I
For
mean,
sure, for sure.
just there's
Yeah,
lots of things that I just say, and I think
right.
I there's a lot I don't share
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I get rejected.
Yeah, and we
And
all get to use our discernment through our experience with that, right?
absolutely.
Right? And when it feels good to share it, you share, and we know our audience too, so right? We discern who
Hmm.
to share with, right? Because
Right. And
those
that's
feelings, those experiences are sacred, and if the audience is not going to treat it that way, then
it's
you
like
know,
the mystery schools. In the temples there was the sort of the open market area where the general public could come in, and each subdivision of the temple within itself, all the way to the Holy of Holies, which was the smallest part where the sacred altar was. You still
oh,
see that in Catholic churches. Initiates, the spiritual students, had to pass certain tests and get educated and overcome their fears and learn
mm,
about the mysteries to be able to enter into the more elite, educated center where
right,
the mysteries were shared. So
right.
I do think
It's a
that,
journey. It's a journey. And
yeah,
it's a never-ending journey at that, right?
right.
I really truly feel like it's an
Yeah, for
ever
sure.
unfolding journey of discovery. And then that brings me back to now they're showing me the lemniscate, the infinity symbol, which
Hmm.
also is very similar to that Vesica Pisces,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
Except it doesn't have that overlap in the middle. It connects exactly, which is really interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting.
So I feel like there's maybe going to be more to come through on that
Yeah,
later.
kind of
But
simple.
yeah. It's interesting because now I wanted to ask you too about I saw a beautiful video on your YouTube that you shared about the sacred geometry of the pyramid and how bees really like that. I'd love if you would share about that and
Yes.
what. Why, you think?
Yeah, so there's a couple things I wanted to share with you. One that are connected to ancient Egypt and the bees, and the
Okay.
pyramids are one of them, and also the experimentation that we did with an ancient Egyptian technique
Oh yeah, the
of
piping of the
calling the bees.
queen. I
Yeah,
want to hear
that
that too.
actually worked.
I know, it's
Well,
amazing. I love
it's
that. That
amazing.
video was amazing.
And those videos are on my YouTube channel. And I had taken, oh, I have one here, but I have it taped up. But there were little alabaster pyramids that I got in Egypt and charged in the king's chamber. And
Oh,
we placed them in front of the beehives at my friend Susan Chernak's house. And we were amazed the bees loved the pyramids. I think that's really interesting. How do we know they love them? Because they would climb all over them, and
oh,
they accepted them and responded to them. So we assumed
oh.
they like it. They didn't. They yeah. It's really interesting. The
Yeah,
pyramid shape. There's all kinds of experiments that you can research about what
the
pyramids
power
do,
of that.
the
Yeah,
power of a
sacred
pyramid.
geometry. Yeah,
And this is a 51-ish degree pyramid, which is what the Great Pyramid is.
and
There's
five plus
also,
one is six. Hexagon.
and right, and then there's the 70-degree pyramid, which does a different thing. But anyway, these are
Oh,
pyramids. So it could either have been the frequency that it was received in the Great Pyramid, or perhaps it was the shape itself or the
I'm
material.
hearing, I'm hearing it's both.
It could be both. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
really interesting. And I certainly have it taught me. I did a lot with copper pyramids. We have copper pyramids all over the property and around the
Ooh.
house. So I think it does something to the space. I think that's what the bees were communicating. The other thing
Ooh.
we did was there's an ancient Egyptian technique of called piping the queen, and it's using a flute type reed to call the queen out to split the hive. So that's sort of that idea of the Vesica Pisces, the Venn diagram that is the overlapping section of two circles.
Right.
So a beehive, when it grows too big and there's too many bees for the space that it's in, it it gives birth to a baby. What it does is it splits the queen, takes some of the hive, maybe half of the hive, and it leaves to find another home.
Right.
Well, this is a vulnerable the queen that's leaving is vulnerable because she's exposed to the elements and has to find a new home. And
Right.
the hive that's remaining is vulnerable because it doesn't have a queen, so they have to grow another queen.
Right.
But it looks just like that image of these that turns into these two beings and then they separate. So
Wow.
so one of my friends' hives, it's called swarming. They
Right.
split. We call it, or I should say, we call it swarming.
Yeah.
But it's making a baby, and the bee swarm flew to the top of a cedar tree, which was too high for us to get. So we tried this experiment using a reed instrument to call the bees down, and you'll see there was about 10,000 bees. I was standing in the middle of this swarming hive. I think I didn't, they don't usually, they're vulnerable and so they're not angry and they won't attack. But I look back at that and I think, oh my gosh,
You were
what did
so
I
brave.
do? But you'll see on the video, they're all over. And
Yeah, I did. I saw it.
yeah,
It's
and
amazing.
so we were able to use this ancient Egyptian technique that's 3 or 4 thousand years old to actually that we know of. I'm sure it's older than that.
Yeah.
Use sound to attract them, but
I
yeah,
had angel bumps watching it. It was so powerful. And you were so cute laying there in the grass like a little Pied Piper with your with your flute. It was so cool. It was so cool.
it's
What a
really cool.
what
So
a
yeah, so those are
powerful
some of my
experience.
bee stories. Thank you for
Wow.
allowing me to share them.
Oh my goodness. It is my honor and pleasure, and I'm so grateful
Yeah,
to have you here with us to share all this beautiful wisdom and experience. And it's so inspiring to myself and to everyone. And I would absolutely love to invite you to come back for more conversations
I'd love to come
as
back.
well, because this is so fun. And
It's fun
when we share, we get to discover even more together.
for
So
sure.
I really, truly, imagine each of us as these beautiful bees, right?
Mhm.
With unique gifts and unique jobs. I hate to call them jobs, but things that we get to do, right? To be a part of, that
Yeah,
we are inspired by, that light us up, that really truly bring us joy and allow our inner children to express. And art is another beautiful way that that is done. So do you have art pieces that are for sale now? Like, do you continue to create the art, or do you do it mostly for your sessions, or?
oh, yeah, I have some cards, some gift cards, but no, the art that I do now is the piece, and I don't think I have any around, but it's when I'm doing a session with someone, I create an artwork that is expression of the remote viewing technique that I use. But yeah,
That's
no, I don't do
cool.
much art anymore, just for myself. And I do feel that art is a way to align with what's authentic within us in a way that we can't really do by watching something, whether it's television or even watching something creative, that
Yeah.
somehow the process of creation aligns us. And the art doesn't have to be good. I mean, you can burn it, you can bury
Yeah.
it, you can throw it away, but it is, I think it's really important
Yeah.
process that we've lost.
Yeah. It
We've
is.
handed it off. But yeah, I think everybody, I guess that's my primary
Yeah.
message. Everybody has the ability within them to empower themselves, to be aligned with what's true within you. And by the
Hmm.
way, what's true within you in this moment may be different in the next moment when you get more
Yeah.
information about the nature of you.
Yeah.
And so,
And that's what's so cool and fun and exciting about living in this life is the unknown, right? It can be
mm,
scary to some if you look at it with that perspective. And I just looked at the clock and it's 1:11. I love that. But
okay.
but
Right.
when you choose consciously and in awareness to look at it more with curiosity and an
Mhm.
open mind, right? Then that allows us to explore those thoughts and those ideas, because that is our imagination, which
Mhm.
as children, of course, we're taught to shut that down, right? Or that that's just playtime, right? But that we need to get serious, right? But
Mhm.
the thing
Right.
about life is, right, is it's all of it.
Right.
And we get to just enjoy that journey
Mm,
however feels good to us in that moment, right?
mm,
But again, it comes back to, I think, that intention. Where
mm,
is our intention coming from when we're creating? Is it coming from our heart, you
mm.
know, or not? And so that is, yeah, that's what's
Yeah.
coming through.
Well,
What
thank
a
you so much for
what a
inviting
beautiful
me. I've had a wonderful time.
same. I look forward to connecting more deeply with you, sister, and also for exploring more deeply all of what's coming through for both of us. So
Can
that,
I can I put a little plug in about my business?
yes, please, I would love to.
Okay.
I was just going to ask you that. Please share with our audience how they can connect with you more
Thank
deeply in
you.
all the ways. Yes.
Yeah, because it's actually how I support myself and how I make a living.
Yes.
And it's a humble way to make a living, but it's very authentic and it's how I feel
Yeah.
directed to do it. And I love being in service to the creator, to the queen.
Thank you for being in service.
I
Thank you.
I have my book Love Never Dies, which is
Love
also
it.
in Spanish, and my mom helped edit that. And
Oh,
my friend
nice.
Gabby from Ecuador, who's a bee lady,
Ooh.
she translated it for me, and that's for sale at Amazon or on my website. I can send an autographed copy. I'm also an astrologer and I'm an intuitive, so a remote viewer, I call it. So I do personal sessions with people, and you can make those appointments on my website. I'll be doing different things this summer. I have a retreat Mount Shasta summer retreat happening in July. We're pretty much full, but there may be another spot. And we're excited to be doing meditations and using art to access what's authentic within you. On the portal, which is Mount Shasta, considered the root chakra of Mother Earth.
Oh, yes.
And I'll be doing a retreat in Costa Rica later
Cool.
in the summer, as well as I'll be back in Mount Shasta for the Beloved Conference at the end of August. So those are just some
Oh,
things. And then I'm back in the saddle doing readings, astrology, and remote viewing readings in September. So if you're interested, my website is just Google Jane DeForest and you'll find my website. So thank you so much.
nice. Oh my goodness, yay. I'm excited to explore your offerings as well. And thank you again for all of your beautiful service, for bringing through and
Yeah.
sharing all of your gifts in the world. And yeah, sharing your light and your love. So thank you, Jane.
Thank you for inviting me. Have a great day, sister.
You too. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.